Namaste and welcome everyone on this very special online celebration of Ramnavami as Namaste. So we have we've lined up some interesting programs for you today, tomorrow, and day after. And this is our second online celebration of Ramnavami. The first one we did was 2 years ago, where we did a webinar on the theme Sri Ram in Indian consciousness. So we had 3, 4 speakers, but that was like 1.5 hour to almost 2 hour program. This time we wanted to do it with a little bit different flavor to it, with some music and with some more time for interactions as well. And we wanted to focus on the idea of Ramkatha itself, the story of Ram. So this will be a little bit, at least for today, it will be a little bit mixture of English and Hindi, because one of the speakers will speak maybe hopefully a few things in Hindi as well, because that will be focusing on Tulsi's Ramayana, Tulsidasa's Ramayana, which was in Awadhi. It won't be fair to say Awadhi is a dialect of Hindi. Awadhi itself is a language which has a great body of literature, particularly Ramcharitmanas, which is another tale of Rama and Sita told several centuries after the original, the Adi Granth, Valmiki Ramayana. So we wanted to take a look at, sort of a little bit of the pan-Indian and beyond India, how Ramkatha has traveled. And one of our speakers today will bring in this element of how Ramkatha, the story of Ram, has traveled beyond India. And because it is within a certain diasporic community, which hails from Hindi, Awadhi speaking region, so it makes sense to give, sort of like have some part of the session in Hindi as well. So those of you who don't follow Hindi, I'm not going to apologize, but just, I'm sure you'll get the bhav that will be being shared, because our title itself for today's session is from Tulsidasa's Ramcharitmanas, Hari Ananta, Hari Katha Ananta. Divine is infinite and divine's tale is infinite. So if Ram as divine incarnation, his tales and the tales of those associated with him are infinite. So we'll just sample few gems from Ramkatha today, tomorrow, and day after. Today after is the official Ramnavami day. But I just want to take few minutes before I invite our speakers and introduce them, Rajeshwari Singh ji and Lakshmijyothi ji. Before I invite them, I just want to take a few moments to set a little bit of context of how we came up with this theme. So, as we know, in India, Ramayana and Mahabharata are considered within the Indian literary tradition a separate genre of literature. That name has been given to them. They are called Itihāsas. They are not your standard mythology. They are not like Puranas. They are Itihāsas in the sense, and Sri Aurobindo himself defines beautifully what this literary genre is, where a significant tale is taken. And this tale is not just any other ordinary story. It is a story which has deep spiritual, religious, moral, ethical, social, cultural, political dimensions, everything integrated into it. And then the poet makes a very creative use of this central story, and around that builds so many other legends, tales, stories, even myths, to bring out the central point of that central tale, that central story. And it is told in a way so that it can form the mind of a people. So the educational aspect of Ramayana and Mahabharata, both of our Itihāsas, was very much in the cognitive sphere of the great poets like Valmiki and Vyasa. That's why Sri Aurobindo says that these are also Dharma Shastras, because they teach you how to live, how to conduct your life, how to make choices, how to decide. And it does it so beautifully, aesthetically, creatively through stories. So no wonder why Indians are such big fans of cinema, because we think some of the best lessons in life can be told through stories rather than through dry cut philosophies like that. So it is in that context, the story of Ram and Sita becomes very interesting. So now, according to some historians, they say there is probably 300 versions of, or 300 retellings of Ramayana. And about 25 of them are in Sanskrit itself. Some of the greatest poets in Sanskrit language, Bhas, Kalidas, Bhavabhuti, they've all done their own versions of Ramayana based on the entire tale or episodes from the tale. Particularly, like we know,
voice is missing.
Sorry?
He's
Particularly,
not getting the
we
voice.
know.
Voice is missing. Your voice is missing.
Oh, my voice is not going?
We are able to hear. Some of them are not.
able to hear.
I'm able to hear.
Okay, so maybe I think it's your speakers. Jadeja sir, maybe it's your speakers that are not working. So like Bhavabhuti's Uttar Ramcharit, right? It was that which actually told India and anybody who's interested in Rama's story a lot about what happens after, with Sita's exile and things like that. It was that which
No
sort of
voice.
became. No, sir, I think it is a problem on your end. Everybody else is able to hear that. So yes, like about 25 or so versions exist in Sanskrit itself. Then we have so many versions within various languages of India. There are two in particular that Sri Aurobindo mentions. Actually, three. He mentions one, the Bengali version, the Tamil version, Kamban Ramayan, which we will take up slight briefly on the third day itself. We will have our speaker Shanta Rajan, who will share a few insights from that. Then he mentions the third one that he mentions is Tulsidas's Ramcharitmanas, and he describes that very beautifully. I want to read his words because that's very, very significant.
Voice is missing.
No, sir, your speakers are not working. Everybody else is able to hear. Please, if you can just be on mute. So what Sri Aurobindo says about Tulsidas's Ramcharitmanas, he says it combines with a singular mastery. What does it combine? Lyric intensity, romantic richness, and the sublimity of the epic imagination. And is at once a story of the divine avatar and a long chant of religious devotion. So a story of a divine avatar and a long chant of religious devotion. So a lot of people think that Ramkatha became popular after, Tulsidas's Ramcharitmanas, particularly in the northern part of the country. There is some truth to that. But according to historian, what's her name? Meenakshi Jain. She's written a beautiful book on this. She says that even from 5th century BCE onwards, there is evidence of Ram worship. So there is a lot of epigraphical sculptural evidence that talks about the popularity of the story of Ram. So in fact, there is also some evidence of how the story of Ram might have been, sung by ballads around that time, and Valmiki actually put it down in a written version a century or two later. So there is some discussion about the date when Valmiki Ramayana might have written. Some put it much farther. I have the dates somewhere here, but that's not important. At least from Sri Aurobindo's point, that's not important. What is important is that it continues to appeal to the Indian heart, the Indian mind. And when I say Indian, I'm not talking about Indians living or people living within the boundaries of India, or people born with an Indian, birth mark. I mean, something like that. People who have an orientation to life, that there is more to material life. Yes, thank you, Garcia Hernandez. Everyone who thinks that there is life is not what we see only at the material plane. There are planes of consciousness, and there is spirit, which is the reality, and everything that we see downwards, spirit downwards, is a manifestation of the spirit in various, at various planes of consciousness. So those who have an inner view of life and existence, That's what I mean by it. So that to that mind, to that heart, Ramkatha remains relevant to this day, and it will remain relevant. So that's the idea with which we thought of this program, and that's the hope that we will have through our session, discussions today and tomorrow and day after. So I want to start off with introducing two speakers for the day. I'll start off with Lakshmijyothi, even though she will be coming the second. But then once I finish with my introduction of Rajeshwari Di, she can just take over and we'll start with the first talk. So Lakshmijyothi is a researcher, writer, orator with continuous thirst for knowledge and progress. Lakshmi, if you just want to raise your hand, if those of you would like. Yes. She's a third generation follower of Sri Aurobindo and the mother. And for many years now, she's been conducting her own online study groups on topics related to Indian culture, spirituality, spiritual implications on society, politics, education, personality development, all from the works based on the works of Sri Aurobindo and the mother. She has a very interesting background in tourism administration and has more than 20 years of experience in that field in both private and public sectors. She has also founded her own tourism consultancy called Auro Indian, which has the tagline, Know India, Know Thyself. So she's currently also serving as the executive committee member of Sri Aurobindo Centenary School, Tadipatri, and edits their Sri Madhur Sankalp, a bilingual e-journal on Sri Aurobindo's thought. She will be talking today on Telugu version of Ramayana, Molla Ramayanam. So some insight, some light from Molla's Ramayana. That's the only Ramayana that we have written by a female poet. So that's why her talk is very important today, the Telugu version. Then we have welcome, Lakshmi.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
A long time friend. So she's
Always a
like
pleasure.
sister. Yes. Then Rajeshwari Di, again, an older sister to me. Dr. Rajeshwari Singh is currently serving as the president of Sri Aurobindo Sadhana Kendra at Vallabh Vidyanagar in Gujarat. I was recently her guest for 2 days there at the beautiful center. We worked on many projects together. She has a PhD in an MPhil in English literature from Sardar Patel University. Her MPhil dissertation actually was on sonnets of Sri Aurobindo, which was later published as a book as well. She's taught there at Sardar Patel University for about 20 years. She's won a lot of, as a student, she was not just a brilliant academic student, but also great in sports. So she's won some awards on that as well. What is very important for today's discussion is her experience that she has for teaching 6 years in Samoa Islands at National University of Samoa, where she had quite deep insight into the lives, cultural experience of Indian diaspora in that region of the world. And that's what she will be focusing on based on her observations, how Ramkatha has traveled to that part of the world and how people there have kept it alive as a living tradition. She's also written some books on, poetry. She has a poetry collection that is published. She also has written some short stories in Gujarati and some translations as well. So with such brilliant speakers today with us, can't wait to hear from you. Yes, Garcia, I would request everyone to be on mute while the speakers are speaking. Then towards the end, we'll have some interaction time. Okay, so I'm going to put you on mute, Garcia, if that's okay. Yes. So with that, I welcome both our speakers. Sorry? Anything urgent? Okay. Namaste. Thank you. Vijay Sharma, I'm also going to put you on mute.
Everybody,
yes, please, everybody, if you can be on mute, that way our recordings come out better. We will be putting out these recordings on the YouTube in maybe a couple of weeks or so. So, all right. So, Rajeshwari Di, welcome once again. I hope it's okay for everyone. I'm going to just call her Rajeshwari Di. I can't call her Dr. Rajeshwari Singh every time. So Rajeshwari Di, please, the stage is all yours. Tell us a little bit. So her talk is, we are calling her, her title is Sri Ram, the Divine Hero in Diasporic Consciousness, right?
So could you please show the first slide so that...
Okay, all right. So you want me to start sharing your thing? Sure. Okay.
Yeah. Namaste. Namaste and thank you, Beloo for your introduction and for providing this opportunity and the platform for reflecting on this very important and unique topic for today. Sri Ram, the divine hero in diaspora consciousness. So here, the word diaspora is very important for all of us because it suggests there is some displacement from the main country, the motherland. We call diaspora to the people who have migrated for some reason to other lands and then they have settled there. So right now we have 200 countries in which we have Indian diaspora and millions of people. But today we are focusing only on 2 countries, Fiji and Fiji Indians in Samoa Islands, because I have the first-hand experience of meeting them and mixing with them and socializing with them. And the background is this, that my husband, Dr. Singh, was given the assignment to teach on the faculty of University of South Pacific. For some contract was given to him to teach economics. So we both traveled to Samoa and our route was from Fiji. So this is how we entered Fiji for the first time. It was our first travel abroad. तो दिल में पूरा excitement था and when we travel, we carry with us something, which is very important for us. It is very important to know what we carry with us. This is also important to know in the background of the topic for today, because this is the small stint of migration for me and my husband. But those who migrated abroad in year 1879 and for 37 years, 60,000 of migrants from Indian shores. They were indentured laborers who reached Fiji Islands. The background was that the slave law was demolished in Africa. And British were looking for cheap labor and they had their eyes focused on the laborers from the areas of UP, Bengal, Bihar, some part of Tamil Nadu and some part of Andhra Pradesh. So they were given some agreement and that is how they are known as Girmitia. Now this picture in this slide is so important. It is not any other temple we come across because this is a temple more than 100 years old and it was built by these indentured laborers by their own hands, by using their own resources. And I could see this and visit this temple on my first visit to Fiji, because the first day of my travel abroad and we had a halt in Fiji. So this is the temple of Sitaram temple. It is called Sitaram Sanatan Dharma Mandir. This is the first temple which was built and dedicated to Sri Ram and Sita ji. And the last slide of my presentation also shows the idols, but we will not need them to see if it's okay. So this is the deity, the idol, which is enshrined in the temple. So these indentured laborers, they were known as girmityas. Girmityas because they were bound with a treaty, an agreement. So this agreement was that they will work on the sugarcane fields, they will be paid in shillings, and then they could return to India after their agreement was over. So 5 years agreement, these girmityas, they traveled abroad, carrying with them what was so important and precious to them. What did they carry with them is so important because they brought with them profound cultural, religious, and social assets. They did not carry physical baggage. They did not carry much wealth with them because they were promised to be paid in shillings. So they took with them what was so important next to their hearts. They took with them Ramayana. The scripture of Ramcharitmanas they took with them. They took with them religious artifacts. They took with them Majira, Kartal, Dhol, Nagada. So that was so important. Most importantly, they took with them music, the bhajans, the kirtan, and the tradition of community gatherings, meeting, and the tradition of storytelling, the tradition of performances, of processions and Ram Lila, etc. So this was the story of indentured laborers which they took with them. And you can show the slide where yes, these are the indentured laborers. And in the background, you can see there are shades, they are tin shades. And at the distance, there is another shade. So they were all, be cooped up in those houses and 8x6 cabins, and they were called coolie lines. They were not treated well. The conditions, the living conditions were very difficult for them. They were not provided enough rations, which was not sufficient for them for 3-4 days. What to talk about a week? They had children. There is no facility for education for them. The wives of those indentured laborers, they were beaten if they can't complete their task. So I think these indentured laborers were falling. These are the descendants of those laborers. After 100 years, you can understand there are 5 generations of laborers, and now these are the free citizens of Fiji. And see, they are having slide if you can show them. This is Jagran, and you can see a car. They own a car now. They own sprawling bungalows now. So what happened when the indentured law was abolished? They could buy on lease some land. They worked hard and then they thrive. And they have built up schools for themselves, Sanatan Dharma school, where they will teach Ramcharitmanas, they will teach Doha, Chopai to children. And see, you can see some children also around them. From very childhood, there is this sanskar. उनको भजन चौपाई गाने की classes attend करते हैं वो लोग. So they can do wonderful task. They can set up a pandal, they can, cook, they can dig holes, they can build machinery work. They are, jack of all trades. These are the descendants. And my stint with them was first day in Fiji, we arrived and they were there to welcome us. Respectable word for calling, addressing a teacher is master. This might be the word they must be using 100 years back. So still they are using this word for my husband, master. The master has arrived. So they are all there, to welcome. He's from India. The wife is from India. So we are like Bhagwan for them. They revere and have so much of devotion for Indians and for the mainland, for Ganga Maiya, for Sri Ramji, the Hanuman Baba. हमने ऐसी भक्ति हमारे भारतवर्ष में नहीं देखी, इतनी भक्ति. And that was the first day of Navratri when we arrived in Fiji. वो उन लोगों ने पूछा, सर हम कहाँ ले जाएं आपको, कहाँ जाना है? So my husband suggested, you take me to the Museum of Endangered Laborers. So he took us to this museum, and there were tears in my eyes. वो जो कोलू होता है ना, उसकी जगह पे इंसान को बांधे जाते थे. इतना हार्ड लेबर किया है, पर बच्चे देखो, they have not forgotten, they have not converted. Only 40,000 out of 60,000 people, they could return to India. Then 60,000 stayed back there, and now they are, migrated to USA and New Zealand and Australia, everywhere. They just carry on with their tradition. Some of them came to Samoa as students. After Fiji, I reached Samoa, and there was one house adjoining to our house, which was vacant. So it was assigned to PG students, postgraduate students, and a PhD student. And on Tuesday, one day, they came to my house. उन्होंने कहा कि रामचरितमानस का पाठ है, मैडम आप आइए. तो मैं गई. Oh, so much reverence and devotion. रामचरितमानस को पीठिका पे लगाया गया, उसकी पूजा की गई. जो पढ़ने वाला था उसको तिलक किया, उसको गार्लैंड पहनाया, उसकी सब पूजा की गई. उसके बाद रामचरितमानस को पढ़ा गया with music and all the fanfare. And this will happen every week, week after week. So this reverence I really felt, I really wanted to hug them for keeping on, carrying on with the legacy of India. The religion is alive because of them. So I was thinking, why these people, after so many years and decades, still love Sri Ram? Because Sri Ram is the hero of their heart. Sri Ram, Ramayana. Yes. Sri Ram, Ramayana and Ramnavami, they are celebrated. I think you can end this, the sharing of the screen. So Sri Ram, Ramayana and Ramnavami, they are celebrated with lot of fervor, devotion, because for them it is the eternal ideal. He is the ideal son who is very obedient. He sacrificed his personal comforts. He has devotion for his father's word. He follows his suggestion of going into exile for 14 years, though he was soon to be coronated as the next king of Ayodhya. He was prince of Ayodhya. But then, with respect, he followed the instruction of his father Dashrath and went to exile. एक बार भी उन्होंने क्वेश्चन नहीं पूछा कि what was my fault, why you are sending me? वो नम्रता से he followed his desire. He is a devoted husband. In Fiji, there is this, monogamy. तो हमारे हिंदू भाई लोगों को Sri Ram is the idol and they are following एक पत्नीत्व. Though it is allowed to have many wives in Fiji in those days, yes, and unofficially, yes, still that is prevalent. तो ये devoted husband बनना चाहते हैं because before them this ideal of Ram is there. So there is this loyalty to wife, love and care and support and commitment for the wife, and dharma of holding promise of ek patni. Even when Ram was separated from Sita at the end, he did not accept any other wife. He just accepted Sita as his wife. He was also the just ruler of Ayodhya. And the Ram Rajya is equivalent, the synonymous word for golden rule, good governance, where there is justice, there is no poverty, there is no hierarchy, no marginalization. So he is a just ruler. He's a person who is having Ram Rajya. There is justice, immediate justice. No room for poverty, grief, greed. People had ample. And that's why there is no pain, no disease. It is said in his Ram Rajya, the elderly did not suffer. They did not have to face the death of their younger ones. So this was the rule of Ram. He was a fearless warrior and a very just ruler and a leader which, fought for his friends. Sugriv is the living example. दंडकारण्य में जब वो जंगल में वनवास में गए तो उन्होंने वाली के अगेंस्ट में फाइट किया. So he is a warrior with no fear. He is a leader who led the army of Vanars. Ram Setu build kiya. It's a perfect feat of nice engineering and formidable leadership. So this is our Ram. They have heart for him. ये जो फिजी के जो इंडियंस है, डायस्पोरा कह लो उनको, इंडियन फिजियन कह लो, they have reverence because Sri Ram is a Maryada Purushottam, a perfect human being, an archetype of the human perfection. He is also a compassionate friend. If you see his behavior with Guha, the tribal king, he was a Kevat also. So he accepted his hospitality with love and care. He also was compassionate and companion to Hanuman. Hanuman was a servitor, but he never, accepted him as a servitor, but his equal, a friend in need. For Vibhishan also, though he was belonging to the enemy camp, Sri Ram accepted him in his party. And after the defeat of Sri Lanka, he gave the rule to Vibhishan and he enthroned him as the next king. With Shabri also, Sri Ram had empathy. She was from tribal community, but he ate whatever was offered by her, the tasted bear. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि Sri Ram was equal with his equals only, but from the marginalized people, the tribal people, the working class people also, he was a friend in need. So he is the epitome of dharma. He is an epitome of everything which is good attributes in a human being. तो मुझे लगता है कि जो diaspora community in Fiji, they revered and had devotion for Sri Ram because there is this, empathy for them. वो जो suffering है, they visualize and identify that, oh, Sri Ram तो विष्णु का अवतार है, अयोध्या का प्रिंस है. If he has to suffer, if he has to go in exile and go into forest, what about us? We are human beings. हम तो इस suffering पसार कर देंगे. Sri Ram, after vanvas of 14 years with Sitaji and Lakshman and Hanuman Baba, he can return to Ayodhya, his mainland. So why not us? They felt कि हमारे दिन भी फिरेंगे, एक दिन हम भी हमारे भारतवर्ष में वापस जाएंगे. So that faith and that suffering, I think that makes them love and have devotion for the idol Sri Ram. दूसरा है कि suffering, उससे आपका कैरेक्टर ब्राइटन होता है, आप बढ़िया होके बाहर निकलते हो. वो उन्होंने रामचरितमानस की चौपाई में से सीखा कि जैसे सोना है उसको आग में तपाया जाता है, then what comes is a purified 100% gold. तो ये तपस्या है हमारे लिए, ये टेस्ट ऑफ अवर कैरेक्टर है. हम ये पसार कर जाएंगे. We have something to fall back upon. We have Ram, we have his Ramcharitmanas. इनकी कहानी है, स्टोरीज है, and a great trust in Sri Ram that श्री हनुमान जी सपोर्ट करेंगे, हमको वापस ले आएंगे, हमारे भारतवर्ष में पहुंचा देंगे. So that is the test of character. They feel that situations can refine your inner being, your soul. So they took it as a refinement of their inner impurities, and then they thought they will come out fine and 100% pure gold. And they have faith and trust in the righteousness. They consider Ram as their anchor to fall back upon. Everywhere and every time they had difficulty, they will think of Ram. कि राम भगवान होते तो कैसे बिहेव करते, उन्होंने क्या किया उनके जीवन काल में, तो हमको भी ऐसा ही करना है. बिकॉज श्री राम इज अवर आइडल, हम उससे नीचे नहीं जा सकते. तो these people, the laborers, they belong to 4th class society. They came from UP, Bihar and state of Tamil Nadu. But there is a unifying thing. This one unifying thing is their bhakti. So this bhakti gave them strength to carry on and preserve their culture. Preserve because they consider it as their tapasya. So समूह में भी हमारे पड़ोस में हमने बहुत एंजॉय किया उनकी सपोर्ट एंड देयर भक्ति. और हमको भी होने लगा कि भारतवर्ष में हमारे जो चिल्ड्रन है, द यूथ है, वो इतना ज्यादा इन्वॉल्व नहीं है. मे बी इट इज आउटसाइड, इनसाइड दे आर एंकर, but inside they have Ram in their heart. और सभी चीजों में जब कुछ बात आएगी, कोई डिफिकल्टी आएगी, तो क्या बोलेंगे? ये जो डायस्पोरा है फिजी का, सामोआ का, वो क्या बोलेंगे? राम जी बेड़ा पार करेंगे, सब राम जी की कृपा. Their Hindi is different than the mainland Hindi. Pure Hindi नहीं है उनकी. It's a new evolved Hindi they speak. But what is reflected in their conversation is their trust for Ram and divine intervention. कि भाई हमारा प्रभु है, वो प्रभु हमको हमारी डिफिकल्टीज में से बाहर निकालेगा. One day we shall overcome. One day we shall be united with our loved ones. तो ये जो डायस्पोरा मेमोरी है, वो लोग अपने पेरेंट्स एंड फोर फादर्स की जो स्टोरीज है, उसको विविड मेमोरी में रिवाइव करते रहते हैं, उसको याद करते रहते हैं। और जो सेलिब्रेशन है, दे ट्राई टू डू दे ट्राई टू कॉपी इट, कि भाई हमारे भारतवर्ष में तो हम इतना करते थे, वी डू नॉट हैव ऑल दोज आर्टिफैक्ट्स एंड अदर फैसिलिटी, वॉट एवर द रिसोर्सेज वी विल सेलिब्रेट। तो रामचरितमानस के पाठ करते हैं वो लोग, सर पे लगा के जाते हैं, सर पे उठा के जाते हैं। आप फिजी में गए, हम एवरी 6 months वी विल गो टू फिजी। तो उस समय रामनवमी थी, तो आए, because on Samoa we were teaching by distance learning. There are 12 countries which are jointly, evolving and teaching in the same campus of Samoa. तो समोआ में टीचर पढ़ाएगा, सभी 12 कंट्रीज में वो लोग बैठे होंगे पैसिफिक ओशंस में, और they will be learning. At the end of the semester, the teacher himself we visit. तो हम लोगों को फिजी जाना पसंद था, हम फिजी जाते थे। अदरवाइज देयर वर 12 कंट्रीज, हमने तो उसके नाम भी नहीं सुने होते हैं। न्यू टोकेलाउ, देयर आर Kiribati, all those countries, they were new to us, and there is problem of food and survival for us because we being vegetarian. तो हम तो फिर फिजी जाते थे। तो फिजी में वो स्टूडेंट्स मोस्टली दे वर ऑल इंडियन कम्युनिटी, इंडियन डायस्पोरा। तो दे विल टेक अस टू द सेलिब्रेशंस ऑफ रामनवमी एंड विथ ग्रेट फैनफेयर दे विल सेलिब्रेट। तो वो सब यादें हैं, थोड़े से वीडियोस हैं, मैं आपके साथ में बाद में शेयर करूंगी। ड्यूरिंग द डे आई वाज फ्री एंड देन आई वेंट आउट इन द मार्केट प्लेस। तो मैं क्या सुन रही हूँ, फिजी के लाउड स्पीकर पे हनुमान चालीसा हो रही है, सुंदरकांड के पाठ हो रहे हैं, और कीर्तन हो रहे हैं, भजन हो रहे हैं, बिकॉज रामनवमी फेस्टिवल इज देयर। तो इट इज वेरी कॉमन एंड यू फील एज इफ यू आर इन इंडिया। आपको कभी नहीं लगेगा, खाना पीना सब, मिठाई सब, वो फिजी इंडियंस हैं, सब आपको देख के भारतवर्ष से आए, भारतवर्ष से आए, तो प्रणाम करना और चरण स्पर्श करना ही बाकी रहता है। इतना ज्यादा उनको प्यार है भारत देश से, उनके हृदय के अंदर इतना डिवोशन है, भक्ति भाव है। इसी भक्ति भाव ने उनको अब तक खींचे रखा है, बांधे रखा है भारत के साथ। तो ऐसे वो लोग मेमोरी अपने हृदय में बसाए रखी है, और श्री राम हैज बिकम द एथिकल एंकर फॉर देम, एंड द वर्ल्ड अराउंड देम वाज सो हार्श, द लिविंग कंडीशंस वेर वेरी डिफिकल्ट। एज आई हैव सेड अर्लियर, खाना ठीक से मिल नहीं रहा है, उनके रिसोर्सेस कम है, उनके पास कपड़े कम है, दे आर हाफ नेकेड, पर उनके हृदय का जो भाव है वो नहीं बदला, उन्होंने कन्वर्ट नहीं किया। आसपास का जो गवर्नेंस है उसमें ब्रीच ऑफ ट्रस्ट है, और उनको दे आर वेटिंग फॉर द जस्टिस टू हैपन, और जस्टिस हैपेंड। Later on, the indentured labor law was also abolished, and they were given choice whether they want to stay on Fiji Island or want to return. Some of them returned, some of them stayed back in Fiji, and this is the diaspora I am talking about, who is yearning for Ram Rajya, who is yearning for justice, who is yearning for good facilities for their children. And then they achieve that goal, that well-being for their children. And Ram is their moral compass, symbol of inner strength in the hardship, dignity in spite of hard times, and reminder of Bharatvarsh and pride in the civilization they belong to. भले वो फिजी के 100 वर्ष से रहने वाले हो गए, तभी भी वो लोग फिजियन नहीं हो पाए हैं, हृदय से, कोर से, कल्चर से, रिलीजन से, बिहेवियर से, they are Indians. So there is the depth of this civilization they belong to. And this is how Sri Ram becomes the universal hero in their consciousness. Because Sri Ram teaches to transcend. अगर आप A पोजीशन पे हो, you have to transcend. तो श्री अरविंद का योग भी तो यही है. For transformation of whatever is low, we have to transform and go to the higher consciousness. So, in a way, they are carrying on with the universal hero in their heart. They consider dharma above their personal gain, duty over desire, and love above ego, as Sri Ram did. So this is what the Indian diaspora and the communities follow. The main thing I want to say today is that we have to learn that if outside world is full of turmoil, the full of predicament, what can we do in such situation? Present day situation, Sri Ram is relevant. आज हम देख रहे हैं चारों ओर युद्ध हो रहे हैं, घमासान युद्ध है, स्कैरसिटी है, तो उसमें हमें क्या सीखना है? We have to return to our inner self. बाहर जो भले टर्मोइल है, inner self we have to calm down. We have to establish dharma, peace, and inner Ayodhya, where Sri Ram is the king. So we have to enthrone dharma in the soul, in our hearts, to enthrone the divine within us and awaken our being. This is the takeaway for today for all of us, that we have to forget outside world and concentrate on the inner development, inner progress, and try to transform our lower self. So to conclude, I would say that Ram walked through exile, yet never lost the path of dharma. He faced injustice, yet upheld compassion. He ruled, yet remained humble, very namra. So this is how Sri Ram is our universal hero. मेरे हृदय में श्री राम श्री अरविंद सब सेम हो जाता है. कई बार मैं सोच रही थी श्री राम श्री अरविंद, श्री राम श्री अरविंद, ऐसे जैसे सिनोनिमस हो जाते हैं कई बार, क्योंकि वो भी श्री राम धीर गंभीर मितभाषी, सॉफ्ट स्पोकन, श्री अरविंद also distant but so close to our hearts and teaching us in a passive way. Sitting there, he teaches us, loves us, compassion. वो श्री चंपकलाल जी के साथ उनका जो compassion था, he hugged him because Champaklal ji in the hearts wanted that Sri Aurobindo should hug him, and he does that. तो हनुमान जी की भी जो इच्छा थी कि श्री राम उनको गले से लगाए, तो वो उनकी इच्छा श्री राम ने पूर्ण की थी. So there is so much of similarities in this, So now I request Beloo ji for today's small post.
Which video you want me to play first?
सभी ठीक है, कोई भी 13, 14 and 15.
Okay. Yes.
This will give you some glimpse of the real happenings, how they celebrate.
राम की महिमा राम ही जाने, कण कण में श्री राम बोले, बोले हनुमान बोले भक्तों सिया राम, बोले बोले हनुमान बोले भक्तों सिया राम, श्री राम के चरणों में बनते बिगड़े काम, बोले बोले हनुमान बोले भक्तों सिया राम. लिपट लिपट के राम चरण में, आंखों में गंगा जल भर ले। लिपट लिपट के राम चरण में, आंखों में गंगा जल भर। श्री राम तो क्षमाशील है, पापों को स्वीकार तू कर ले। श्री राम तो क्षमाशील है, पापों को स्वीकार। श्री राघव के ये चरण कमल जैसे वंशु के राम बोले, बोले हनुमान बोले भक्तों सिया राम।
हाँ, सो ये कितना आपको कितना अपीलिंग लगता है। सब लोग इन्वॉल्व है, सब अभी तो 10-12 बच्चे भी होते हैं वहाँ, वो भी मंजीरा खंजीरा करते रहते हैं और दिमाग ऐसे दे कम इन द जोन एंड देन दे सिंग। तो श्री राम की महिमा तो वही जाने। और नेक्स्ट वीडियो प्लीज।
लेट मी सी।
और ये आपको पता हो कि फिजी के डिफरेंट डिफरेंट आइलैंड्स तो थाउजेंड्स ऑफ किलोमीटर्स अपार्ट, और इंडिया से फिजी की जो जर्नी है वो 3 months की होती है। तो 3 months के अंदर दे हैव struck with a bond with each other and they started calling them जहाजी भाई। वो कोई भी धर्म का है, कोई भी स्टेट का है, वो लोग भाई बन गए और ये सब मंडली बना के कीर्तन करने लगे। तो ये रामलीला और जो प्रोसेशन निकलते हैं उनके रास्तों पे होता है पूरा, वाकई में सब पूरा जुलूस निकलता है, झांकी होती है, बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग होता है। और 100 साल के पहले जो पेरेंट्स गए थे उनके जो भी वो भी करते आए, उनके बच्चे भी कर रहे हैं। और कभी भारतवर्ष आए ही नहीं है वो लोग, खाली दिमाग में उनके पास इमेज है, लव है, रेवरेंस है। और एक थर्ड होगा छोटा सा।
दीदी अभी थोड़ा सा इसको स्टॉप देते हैं, बिकॉज आई वांट जस्ट कीपिंग ट्रैक ऑफ टाइम,
just giving them idea of the
yes,
first hand experience they
yes,
had.
if there
So
is time towards the end we will show.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank
So,
you.
but it's, I mean, इतना बढ़िया, इतना सुंदर जो आपने शेयर किया, बिल्कुल मन से, और पर्सनल आपकी एक्सपीरियंस, ऑब्जर्वेशंस, that made it so relatable. Thank you
I'm
so
also
much.
thankful कि मुझे 10-15 साल पहले जो मैं समूह में रही पूरे दिवस, उसमें मेरे को जाने का मौका मिला। vivid memories and
Yes.
love.
क्योंकि
Thank you.
मैंने आपसे ऐसे टिडबिट्स में सुना था, तो मुझे लगा कि आप
नहीं, आपने
अगर इसको
सजेस्ट किया
पूरा,
कि ये तो
it will
बहुत
be
इंटरेस्टिंग।
perfect. अभी राजेश्वरी दी रिसेंटली अयोध्या से होके आई हैं. Towards the end, if we have some time in the question answer, maybe she will share a little bit about, or tomorrow or day after, she will be joining with us throughout the 3-day program. So yes, now I want to request Lakshmijyothi to take us from Samoa to Telugu land,
Yeah, Andhra.
to Mollas, to Andhra. Yes. So we'll be hearing from her about Molla Ramayanam, some insights, some flavor, Andhra flavor, Telugu flavor from there. So yes, Lakshmi, please.
Sabhaya Namaha. अधुना वयं भारतीय आत्मनः विषये भारतीयानां मध्ये भारतदेशे उपविश्य परभाषायां भाषणः कुर्मः स्मः। कियान् शोचनीयः विषयः एषः। So my dear friends, I'm just saying that today we are talking about a topic which is extremely close to our heart. It reflects the soul of the country. And we're all Indians over here. Most of us are, I think we are sitting in India and talking, but still we are using a foreign language, which does not exactly reflect the soul of this country. I wanted to bring in this topic of the language because while I was trying to translate some of the poems of Mullah into English as a part of preparation for this talk, I did have some difficulty. And I said, it's funny. It's funny that we should use a foreign language as Indians sitting in India talking about Indian language. So I just wanted to highlight this importance of a national language which reflects the national soul of India, of which Ramayana is the huge part. So I guess we need to perhaps focus more and more on using Sanskrit, building back Sanskrit and using it for our national conferences so that we do not lose the effect of it. And, Mullah belongs to Andhra Pradesh. I'm from Andhra Pradesh. And some years back, the Andhra government came up with a directive. They said, convert all government schools into English medium schools. And it made me think, of course, those of us who are exposed to classical Telugu literature, despite our convent education, we felt very bad. But then it made me think, is it really true that the time has come for us to leave these regional, languages and go with a national language, with an international language? But then today, as we look into these, beautiful poems and texts like Ramayana, and this Mullah Ramayana is just, I would say, a drop of the Telugu literature, Telugu language, which we have. And Sri Aurobindo himself says that these regional languages have actually reflected the soul of the country. There is something called the Bhakti movement. When we talk about Mullah, when we talk about, Tulsi Das, Shur Das, right from the 8th century, I think so 7th or 8th century, where we had these Alvars and Nayanmars, it started then this Bhakti movement. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the north, Tukaram in the west, and all these. What did they do? They spoke in the regional language and they went close to the common man. This Bhakti movement did two things. The first thing it did is, that was the time when we were under the foreign rule and the culture was declining. So the universities could not do much. The people in the ruling, they had to listen to the invaded, kings, the foreign kings or whatever the rulers. But it is only the common man who could really keep the spirit of the civilization alive. And this is what the Bhakti movement did. It went in the language of the people and spoke to the language, that touched their hearts. And the second aspect of the Bhakti movement, Sri Aurobindo says, is as Indian culture and Indian spirituality is evaluating, what happened in the Bhakti movement is this spirituality has descended to the emotional level. It became broader and wider, covering a larger scale of people. Upanishads, only few people could understand. You need to have a certain amount of intelligence. Vedic culture, you need to be initiated. Otherwise, all the Vedic culture we knew was just the rituals. But this Bhakti movement, it touched and it highlighted, it uplifted the gross emotions of the common man. Just now, it was so beautiful when Rajeshwari Ji showed us these videos of these laborers. These were laborers, and I do not think they read the Valmiki Ramayana or they knew the grammar and all these. But that was enough. These, these Ramcharitas in these local languages, which kept them together, which kept their higher aspirations burning over the borders and for centuries. So the Bhakti movement, what it did is it brought down to the, it's a descent of the culture which had to happen to the level of the gross emotions. These emotions where you would like to have a partner, you would like to have a friend, you would like to have a fulfillment, you're looking for a Sakhi. All these emotions are fulfilled by an Ishta Devata, a personal God, Rama, Krishna, whoever, depending on your temperament. So this is the beautiful thing the Bhakti movement did, whether it is Mullah in the south. In the south itself, in Telugu itself, we had Tyagaraja, we had Potanamatya, many of these beautiful people, and they formed the culture. Today we say, oh, the teachers are not teaching properly. My daughter doesn't, and the character building, the teachers are having a problem of character building. And one or two parents also we cannot blame because not knowing. It was the culture. It was the genius of the Vedic people, I would say, who built this culture. It was the culture which took care of the character development of the people. And I would like to narrate one poem just now. In fact, Beloo also mentioned how these epics became, they had this educational value. There is a padyam we say in Telugu, Potanas, which we learnt as toddlers, which says, in fact, I'm bringing this padyam because Mullah also has a similar padyam. Padyam is the poem, which I will talk about it a little later. He says, Palikinadi Bhagavatamata, Palikina Vadu Ramabhadrundata, Palikina Bhavahara Magunata, Palikeda Vere Gadal Palkunela. He says, Palikinadi Bhagavatamata. He says, what is composed is Bhagavata. And who has to do it? It is Ramachandra, and it is composed. It is Ramachandra who is composing. Potana, incidentally, was a devotee of Rama. But here, interestingly, when he was trying to write Ramayana, Rama comes in his vision, and Rama doesn't say, hello, good job, you are a great devotee of mine. Please write my story and propagate to everybody. He didn't say that. He said, write about Krishna. He said, write Bhagavata. Rama comes and says, write Bhagavata. So he has written, and he says it's Rama who himself wrote this Bhagavata. It's not me, he inspired me. And he says, Palikina Bhavaharam Magunata. What is Bhavaharam? Bhavaharam means coming out of this cycle of birth and death, and that is moksham. So I was taught this poem as a toddler. And as a toddler, you tend to get it by heart. But as you grow up and understand the meaning of the poem, when you understand the words, Bhavaharam, when you understand it is a higher power which is acting through you, you are just an instrument. All these concepts become very common in the minds of these formative years, the children, and they grow up with that culture and with that kind of a higher thinking. And now coming to Ramayana, the subject itself, I just wanted to say one point. I hope you all agree with me. Now, there is so much furor about the construction of the Ram Mandir, and most of us are overjoyed, and we agree it needs to be constructed. Why now, and why so much furor about it? I would say this is the time when the Rama's consciousness has to be established at the national level. You know, when people read Ramayana, they read it for the Ramnavami, 9 days they read, they say, whenever they are in difficult times, they say, we are reading Ramayana. Whenever they want something, okay, let's read Ramayana. I think we should come out of this feeling of reading Ramayana to fulfill our desires, and we should go to a stage where we read Ramayana to overcome our desires. And it is important that Rama stands for the higher mind. And these Vanaras, which are a part of Ramayana, we see they are the vital mind, a vital mind surrendered and subjected to the higher mind, which is Rama himself, out of devotion, because vital only can give its place to devotion. If you try to put your authority over vital, the mind comes and tells, do this, do that. The life energy doesn't go. It's only love. It's that surrender and love that has. So, this higher mind has to be established at a national level, because that is Sthita Prajnata, that Samatha, because sitting here, we talk about in Pondicherry, we talk about overmental, supermental, and all these things. But before any of these things start manifesting, the basis is always the Sthita Prajnata. So it is the time, all this furor about Rama and Rama is the time has come for us to establish that higher mind and higher consciousness within all of us. And now it is like the kindergarten of spirituality, let me tell you. And now, because in Sri Aurobindo Ashram, when many of the devotees wanted to join in 20s and perhaps 30s also, Sri Aurobindo never took them if there was not a modicum of samatha in them. He said, if it is not there, because it was the intensity of sadhana was very high. Gods were descending into the people at that time. So that samatha, now it's not just the vital dears. Now we should move from there. We should aspire for establishing this Sthita Prajnata at the national level, and so that beyond it we can start focusing on illumined mind and Satchidananda or supermind or whatever. So that I feel is the importance of Ramayana as of today for all of us, especially sitting here in Pondicherry and offering this program to Sri Aurobindo, where we bring in his, his vision into where we are trying to bring in his vision into our lives. Now talking about Mullah. Mullah, of course, she's from a lower caste. She's not from any of those three upper castes. She's a Kummari Mullah, that means a potter. She's from a potter's family, and a woman to boot. A woman who has written about Ramayana and withstood 600 centuries. She wrote it in 1500s, not even 1400s. 15th century she wrote it, and it withstood. Incidentally, that is the only complete Ramayana. Though she wrote it only, I think, 800 plus poems, she straight away took the essence of the story. While Valmiki was focusing on the philosophy, the genealogy, the Ikshwaku Vamsa, the Shuri Vamsa and all this, Mullah just threadbare. She took the Ramayana and presented. And I believe this is the only Telugu Ramayana which is complete, because most of the other more famous ones, which are very scholarly, they were only written, they took only a certain kandas. And where the entire Ramayana was available, it's not a single person who wrote the kandas. There's several persons. And in fact, there is one gentleman who was teaching Ramayanas to his students. He said a couplet. He said, Bhaskarunda palake panchadarala polki, Malla palake jaji malle riti. Mulla is a deviation of Malle. Malle is the jasmine flower. So he says, Bhaskara also has written Ramayana. That is like a panchadara, sweetness in the mouth. But this Mulla, this is Jaji Malle. That is, has all the fragrance, the purity, the sweetness, the beauty of jasmine flower. Mulla is a variation of Malle. Malle in Telugu means jasmine. And if you take the approach, of course, Valmiki Ramayana, I'm sure Valmiki must have had a tough time, because he had to present Rama as a human being. Why does an avatar come? Sri Aurobindo had this tough time. He was questioned. Nirodharan said, what for you? You are an avatar. Sri Aurobindo was a bit frustrated trying to convince them. He went through more hardships than any other human being would go through, because an avatar comes to experience all this and show to the people, yes, this is painful, but from here, just like Rajeshwari ji said so beautifully, when you see that Rama himself has undergone, what are our difficulties in front of us? What are the difficulties which we go through? So here, the approach for, I'm sure, Valmiki was to make Rama's look appear as human as possible. But for Mullah, by the time Mullah started writing, Rama was already etched as divine par excellence in the hearts of the people. So she herself approached it like a bhakta. And she didn't have a tough time to look upon him as a human being. For him, she was a god, her personal god, her deity, her idol. So there is a difference in the approach. It was the divine for her. And one example which is quoted is when Ravana comes and takes away Sita. In Valmiki Ramayana cries like a baby. He wails literally, Rama. He wails. But I believe Mullah didn't like it. She said, Rama is a god. He's, why should I do that? So most of the wailing, she ascribed it to Lakshmana. And Rama himself was at Sthita Prajna. Of course, he was feeling bad. In fact, Rama says, after when Sita was taken away, he looks around, he says, oh my God, this is really Dandakaranya. When Sita was next to me, this is not the way it appeared. It appeared like a garden for me. So these are the things which are Mullah's words. It is not the Valmiki translation. Mullah did not translate Ramayana. She put her own creativity, her own nativity, her own feeling into that, beautiful composition. And here there are a few poems which I would like to read because we are talking about the beauty. Telugu is called the Italian of the East. Supposed to be, it has complete vowels as endings. Mu, we don't say Rama, we say Ramo do, Lakshmana do. So you see, I believe that's the beauty of this language. So I'll just read out, I suppose I have time, a few poems. So she starts the Pitika, she says, Guru Linga Jangama Archana, Parudun, Sivabhakti Ratudu, Bandavahitudun, Gurudu, Atukuri Kesaya, Varaputrini, Molla Yanaga Varilana. And she is introducing herself and her father. She says her father was a Shiva Bhakta. This is again interesting. Molla also declares in one of the poems that she was Malleshwara, Sri Shaila Malleshwara. She was also a Shiva Bhakta. But she says it is Rama who inspired me. You know, all this talk in Andhra also right now, there is one gentleman who started saying Rama never worshipped Shivalinga in Rameshwara. You know, all these things are happening right now in Andhra Pradesh. But let me tell you, neither in the Puranas nor especially in the hearts of these real inspired bhaktas, this differentiation never existed. So she's describing her father. She says he's a Linga Jangama Archana Parudu. He worships Linga and Jangama. Jangama are the devotees of the Linga. He worships the Linga and the Linga devotees. And he is a Siva Bhakta. He is Bandhav Hitudun. He has goodwill for all the people around and the relatives. Bandhav Hitudun Gurudu. Gurudu means actually her father. Atukuri Kesaya. Her father's name is Atukuri Kesaya Setti. Varaputrin Molla Yanaga. I am called Molla. His Varaputri, she says. Varaputri means a daughter born out of a boon. It's quite probable that Kesaya Setti had to undergo some penance to have her as a child. And one more thing people say here is, historically, they say she would have been a child widow, because in any of the kavya, this is the only kavya she has written, she never mentioned about her husband or children, but she referred only to her father. And that age for a woman to stay unmarried was a little unlikely. So people think perhaps she was a child widow who stayed back with her father, is what they say about her. There are many stories. Some people say she was at the time of the Tenali Ramalinga, Krishna Devaraya, and Tenali Ramalinga actually challenged. He said, a woman, that to a lower caste woman, cannot write a kavya. Then she took 5 days and she finished this beautiful kavya where Ramalinga himself had to accept as one of the beautiful compositions. But this is again folklore. It's quite possible that it is not true, because there are also people who say she belonged to an era before Krishna Devaraya. She is actually a contemporary of Potanamacharya, and her way of writing, the way she dedicated her composition to the god Shiva and not to the king, is again similar to what Potana did. Potana had a cousin, Srinatha, who was patronized greatly by the royalty, the king. And Srinatha kept on telling Potana, please dedicate your Bhagavata to the king, you will be rich. But Potana refused. He said, Rama inspired me to write it and I give it back to the Rama. Malla also says that. She says, I'm not going to any of these kings. I've written it to the divine as my own sadhana. In fact, she tells a little later why she did it. Cheppamani cheppumani Ramachandrudu seppinchina paluka meeda cheppeda neen ellappudu ihapara sadhanami punya charitramo tappulenchakakavalu. She says, don't pick mistakes in this kavya. I mean, she's being modest. There may be many mistakes. Please don't look at them. I have written because I was inspired by Rama to write it. And when you write this, what happens is, iha para sadhana, iha means here and para there. In both these worlds, you get your fruits. So please focus on that and not on mistakes. In fact, in the Pitika, she gives the long list of all the poets. She says she never got trained for writing any kavya. It's probably what she meant was she was never formally educated, but she was definitely educated. Otherwise, she wouldn't have known the names of all these poets. She educated herself and she calls her father as a scholar. So her father, despite being a potter, this talks to us about the ubiquitousness of education around. Education, as we look upon it as cultural education, it was quite common as a culture in the olden days. Now here, a couple of other poems I would like to read. Munu Sanskritammu Deetaga Teniginchidi Chotanemi Teliyakayundan Tana Vidyai Meriya Grammara Ghanamagu Sanskritammu Cheppaga Ruchiyagune. She says, all these scholars I have mentioned, they have written Ramayana. But what did they do? While translating into Sanskrit, they used Sanskritized Telugu. What is the use? If you have to read that Telugu, you again have to go and catch hold of a dictionary and then try to understand. She says, what is the use? You're using the same Sanskritized Telugu. Then she goes on saying, Tene soka noru tiyaga agoriti. Like tene, honey. When you take honey, how the mouth, the tongue sweetens. So you should write in a language which is very simple, which reaches the people, she says. Toda nadhamella tochakunda. You've written, but nobody's understanding it. What's the point, whether it is in Sanskrit or Telugu? It's only the script that is different. Guda shabdamulanu gurchina kavyamu arerere. Guda shabdamulu. What? They are so secretive, the words. Nobody understands. Moga chemiti vari mochadavaru. This is like reading it out to the Moga chemiti means deaf and dumb. It's like the deaf and dumb people who are reading it. Then she says, Kanduva matalu sameta landamaga kurchi cheppa adi tenugunakun bondai ruchiyai veenula vindai mari kanchi nunchi vibudala matikin. She says, use simple poems and use simple chamatkar. Chamatkar means wit, and let it touch the hearts of the people is what she says. Then here she says, why Ramayana? So many have written. She says, Adi Raghuramu Charitamu Adaramuga Vinna Krotage. She says, if you really put your heart and listen, Ramacharitra is always new. Lakshana Sampadamai. It is a bringing together of so many fine qualities. Punyasthiti Vedamai. It is like the very Veda. Verine Chepanan. Do you think I'm crazy to write about this Ramayana if it did not have this quality? She says, Verine. Am I a crazy woman? Do you think to write about Ramayana if it did not have these wonderful qualities in it? Then again, she says one more beautiful, which I would like to hear. She differentiates between bhakti and jnana. She says, Nerichi pogadina varini, neraka koniyadu vari, nija krupam anupam, garana makuta bhaktiye, karana magugani, chadu karana magani. Here she says, just now Rajeshwari ji spoke about the laborers in Fiji. She said, what did they know about Ramayana? They only knew the story. She says, whether you know what Ramayana, what Valmiki Ramayana has spoken about Rama, or whether you do not know, if you have that bhakti, you are blessed. She says, Bhaktiye karanamagna. The reason for reading or writing a Ramayana is this bhakti. Chadu karanamagane. It is not that you have that scholarship and that's why you want to show it off. It's not jnana marga. It is the bhakti marga which connects even a common man, to this divine aspiration. Even common people are aspire to. In fact, it is said in India a few decades back, perhaps not now anymore, even the urchins on the street would understand what is Atma and Paramatma, because this is a part of our own culture. And I wonder but now it is all, we have stray kids and the BTS and what vampires and witches. I mean, I don't know, we'll have to look into ourselves as to what we are doing with this present generation of the people. I will read a couple of other poems and then will stop reading the poems because not many of you understand them. Here she says, Sallalita Pratapa Gunasagurudai Virasilli, Dhatripai Ballitudai Rama Narapalakuni Stutiye, Jihvakun Chillara Raju Lokamuni Jekuni Mechagani Icha Puttune. She's saying, you see, this tongue which is used, the Pratapa Gunasagara, Pratapa, the warrior, the great warrior, Gunasagara, who has all the fine qualities. This tongue which is used to praise him, do you think it can praise an ordinary? So she's giving here the reasons why she undertook Ramayana. She can write about normal subjects, about normal kings. And here the comparison she's giving is, Allamu bellamun tirichu. Supposing your tongue tastes ginger and it tastes jaggery, what does it ask for? It wants more of jaggery and not ginger. So she says, writing about Ramayana, she says, is like that. Once your tongue is used to, praising Rama, I don't think it can praise anything else, is what she's saying. And I'll just read, the lyricness. In fact, when Beloo she spoke about what Sri Aurobindo said about Tulsi Ramayana, there are two things. One is the lyricness, the simplicity, the beauty of the simple language, and the sublime thought and the religious devotion. All these you find in Mullah also, and I'm sure in all the Bhakti movement writers. Like, I will give you one. There is an alliteration. We have alliteration in English, and here just 2 poems which are often quoted. Here there's one poem here. She says, "Bhoganuraga sampada bhogala vartintu randu bhunu talilan. Bhoganuraga sampada bhogala vartintu rindu bhunu talilan." In the first line she says andu. In the second line she says indu. Here she is talking about the comforts and the luxury which the gods there, andu, enjoy. And she says indu, in Ayodhya also, the same comforts and luxuries were experienced. I mean, were available for the people, even in Ayodhya. That means Ayodhya was prospering, she wanted to say. And here she uses the word bhoga, a repetition of a bhoga, which makes it very easy. In fact, even prosperity is necessary. Sri Aurobindo also uses, I love this phrase which he uses. He says, leisure of the gods. He said it is essential to have this leisure. Otherwise we are so consumed in our livelihood of making money. It's only when you have this leisure, you can have higher thinking and think of higher aspirations. So here the people of Ayodhya, and this is what the government perhaps should help in doing, provide the basic amenities so that your people will focus on the higher thinking and creating a higher culture in you. So that is what was found in Ayodhya. That is what the Ikshwakus would establish in Ayodhya. And there is one more poem, the last one, I'll read it out for you, maybe last but one, which is very famous. Here she's describing the princes of Ayodhya. She says, Rajulu Kanti Yandu, Rati Rajulu Rupamanandu, Vahini Rajulu Danamandu, Murugarajulu Vikrama Keli Yandu, Gorajulu Bhogamandu, Dinarajulu Santata Tejamandu, Rajulu Manamandu, Nagarambana Rajakumarulandaru. Here she uses the word Raju in a different connotations, not in the same way. First she says Rajulu Kantiyandu, that means in their brightness they are like the moon. Here Raju means moon. Rati Rajulu Rupamunandu, in appearance they are like Rati Raju is Manmada, they are like Manmadas. Vahini Rajulu Danamandu, Danam is charity. Vahini Raju is the king of the waters, Samudra. They are like the ocean when they had to give. Mrugarajulu Vikramakeli, and the Mrugaraju is the lion. They are like the lions when it comes to Vikramakeli, the warrior ship or whatever. Gorajulu Bhogamandu. Goraju is who? The bulls. They are like the bulls when it comes to enjoying life. Dinarajulu Santata Tejamandu. Dinaraju is against Surya. They have all the glory of the Surya. Rarajalu Manamanandu. Manamu here can be taken as royalty. Raraju is actually Duryodhana. Some people pointed fingers at this. They said, how can she speak about Duryodhana in Ramayana? Because Bharatam did not happen by the time Ramayana took place. But then by the time Mullah wrote Ramayana, Bharatam happened. So, and everybody knew who was Duryodhana. So I guess it's not really a mistake referring to Duryodhana over there. So these are some of the samples I just wanted to give you. And it had a lot of native, the regional flavor. Like, for example, in the first Ayodhya Kanda, when she describes the high palaces of Ayodhya, she says, they're so, high. The ladies, I can say the ladies on the top on a Radha Saptami day. Radha Saptami is commonly celebrated in Andhra Pradesh, where you worship Surya Bhagavan. It's like those ladies when they're worshipping the sun, it's like they're touching the sun. That's how she describes this. And she uses Radha Saptami, which is a festival which is common among, the Andhrites. And one more beautiful thing I have to tell you is she has put in a lot of her own local creativity, idiom, native idiom, and her own creativity. There is one character called Guha, who was not there in Ramayana. And it's very interesting. This Guha was actually the boatman. When Rama is leaving Ayodhya, I think you must really permit me to read this as a last poem. That she describes the Guha. He is boat. He has to help Rama cross that river. And here, I'll just read the poem and explain it to you. Sudugoni Rama Padamulu Sokina Dhuli Vahinchi Rayinoka Kanta Mayanata. Pannuga Itani Padarenu Vayada Vadi Wadani Soka Yemaguno Yani Samsayatmudai Kadige Guhandu Rama Pada Pankajamul. In fact, this poem is made very popular in one of the Telugu movies. Here, Guha, the tribal man, he says, "Hey Rama, before you step into my boat, please let me wash your feet." Instead of directly saying, "I would love to wash your feet," he says, "Why?" He says, "You see, when your foot touched a stone, I believe it became a lady, it became a woman. And if the same foot with that dust touches my boat, what will happen to my boat?" So that is the chamatkara. And he says, "Please, let me wash your feet." So instead of straight away saying, "Oh, Rama, I want to wash your feet," out of his devotion, he uses this beautiful chamatkara. He says, "Arey Baba, your foot, when it touched the stone, it became a lady. Now, if it touches my boat, what would happen to my boat? What would it turn into?" And that's my livelihood. This boat is my livelihood. So, sir, please let me wash your feet. That's the beauty. That is the chamatkar. So there are many more. There is no time to speak of all that. And maybe I'll end. And she has used her own emotional validity wherever possible, like this Guha, the bhakti of the Guha. And one example I want to give, like, okay, now Rama has come back. Hanuman has come back from, there is so much psychology in Ramayana. It tells us how we have to behave in certain situations, the psychology, how you have to respond to the other person. When Hanuman goes to see Sita, he speaks greatly about Rama. Even in Mulla Ramayana, he says, he is there, that Rama is there, don't you worry. And there are 1 crore Vanaras with Rama. He didn't say, "Oh, Rama is crying for you, he's missing you." He didn't say all that. He said, Rama is there. And 1 crore Vanaras were there. We will come and we'll rescue. Please don't worry. That's how you're supposed to talk. You're crying here, he's crying. Rama was crying, in fact, but that's not the way you speak. Now, this thing is when Hanuman, he comes back from the, he sees, of course, Sita and comes back. Here, this poor man, Rama, is waiting. Now, Hanuman is the only hope. All the others have come back. They did not see Sita. And he's very hopeful. He's waiting for... And they said, okay, Hanuman has come. Now he's waiting. What would he say? So Hanuman has come, that's fine. But what is Hanuman going to say? And Hanuman knew the heart of Rama. So the moment he comes, he says, Drushta Sita. He doesn't say anything. He says, "Oh, Rama, are you eating?" No, he says, the moment he enters, he says, Drushta, I have seen. Please rest assured. The first word he says is, Drushta. He sees Rama. He says, "Oh, Rama, are you keeping well? I've done." No. The first, because he knows that man is waiting. That is the psychology. He says, Drushta Sita Maya Rama. I have seen, don't you worry now. I have seen her. I know where she is. And Mullah continued the same thing in Telugu. She says, Kantin Janakin Chandravadana Kalyani Lankalo. So Mullah also understood this psychology. That man has to be, first thing you have to say is, Kantin, I have seen. Don't you worry, I have seen. So that is the beauty of Ramayana. We can go on talking and there is no end to it. I think we've got some, we could share in this limited time. Thanks to Beloo for these talks, because they give us an opportunity to dig deeper into the essence of all these wonderful kavyas and share. And the beauty is not only we experiencing it, but sharing with like-minded people. So thank you, Beloo.
Thank you. I am just so happy that, I don't know, this is Rama's grace that I chose the right people for giving 2 flavors today. So thank you, both of you. When you asked me, Lakshmijyothi, why I chose Molla, I was really driven by the fact that this is the only Ramayana penned by a woman poet. And I knew a little bit about the legends, about her birth, the fact that, Rama is considered, I don't know, it has so much political baggage has been attached to Ramkatha. And if this is, as you said, this is the time we have to install Rama in the national body itself, you know. So, and I'm not talking only of the physical body, but the national heart, the national mind, before we are ready for the next steps to the higher path that Sri Aurobindo has given us. So we have to do our sadhana. We have to do our work as a nation, collective yoga. So, and then again, we have to bring in all the diasporic consciousness, because Bharatiya man, Bharatiya soul is not confined to the geography. Bharat's vision is not confined. Sanatan is not confined to the geography of Bharat. It is for the world, it is for the humanity. So that's what Sri Aurobindo said in his Uttar Para speech. That is the mission of Bharat. So I'm just so glad that the light bulb went at the right moment and the two right names came to my mind. I also just wanted to mention one thing about the Guha's story you mentioned. I mean, it is there in Valmiki Ramayana, but not that part about the boat turning into a woman. It's there in the Tulsidasa's Ramcharitmanas, if I remember correctly. That's yes.
No, actually, it is said that it was there in Adhyatma Ramayana. It was mentioned in Adhyatma Ramayana, but we do not know. But in the popular imagination of Andhrites, it is Molla who popularized it. And it is, like you said, in Valmiki Ramayana, this boat turning this particular approach. Yeah.
Yes, that part is not there. And the other thing that Rajeshwari, you brought out so beautifully about the Shabri's, Rama's friendship with Shabri, or his equal drishti towards people from all, socio-economic categories. Shabri's story is also coming from Gujarati literature. It got incorporated in Tulsidasa's Ramayana, but I think the origin, the idea of bear, jhuthe bear, khilane wala, that came from Gujarati, some Gujarati poet. I'm forgetting the name. But Shabri is there in Valmiki as a yogini, whom Sri Ram meets. And that's the whole thing. But then he also makes it possible for her to attain to Vaikuntha. So that particular adhyaya is called Shabari Moksham. When he facilitates Shabari's moksha and ascend to the Vaikuntha. So Valmiki's thing, again, the beauty of how Indian literature and how Ramkatha has percolated down. Valmiki, you said so rightly, Lakshmi, that his was like human, but human, divine doing the Leela of human. But there are so many references where the avatarhood comes out so strongly. So Valmiki did not hesitate there. But certainly in the Bhakti tradition, whether it is from the Gujarat part, Ramcharitmanas, Tulsidas, or Molla in this case, that part really went, so high, because that was the need of the age. So thank you both so much. I'm just going on, and I know our time is up, but if there are one or two quick comments or questions we can take. But I request both the speakers to be with us for the rest of the 2 days also. In case there is some other pending things, we'll adjust in the next 2 days. Any quick comment or question? Yes, Chitra has
Just
raised
a very quick comment.
Yes.
Thank you so much. It was just wonderful. There was like a wave of bhakti that I felt from both the talks. I just want to mention, I had the extra rasa of snatching away a little meaning from the beautiful Telugu that Lakshmijyothi ji today recited. And, she is a person from Telugu land. I like that word that you used earlier.
Well,
Telugu
because
land, like fairy land. Okay. She is from Telugu land who also grew up there. And I am one who's born, hail from there, but I haven't grown up. And today I really felt that missing, because the way she brought in the culture of the state in representing the story of Ram, that's what India is, right? Rich in diversity while belonging to the nation. It was beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes. I said Telugu land because, Andhra, Telangana, I didn't want to get into the whole thing.
Okay.
So go with
It's the same Telugu, basically.
Yes.
Telangana is also a Telugu, but a more localized Telugu, but they follow the same script and the books.
Yeah. Yes, Shantaji. Please unmute yourself.
Yes, it's extremely beautiful evening today, starting with Ramayana, Ramnavami celebrations, because we are also having it here. Rajeshwari ji, yours was beautiful. And about, I will just keep it very short. And with Lakshmijyothi's regional flavor, I think I have to rework about my Kamba Ramayanam now. There are so many common points like Kanden, Sitaye, and those things.
Yes, yes.
Beautiful, I say, because
True.
as you say, the heart and soul of India cannot be erased at all. Thank you all. Thank you, Beloo ji, also. Waiting for tomorrow's. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes. Yes. So yes, the language is no barrier, actually. I think when bhakti, when heart, when truth takes over, language doesn't matter. So yes. Any other comments or questions? Yes, Smitaji, please go ahead. Unmute yourself.
So you're saying that the language doesn't matter, but in this case, the space doesn't matter too, because I am listening from the United States, and I am in my office and listening to this, and I'm like bhakti turbo, like dipped into my faith in Lord Rama. We have one temple here in the town, and that's Lord Rama's temple. So basically, I grew up praying Lord Rama here. So it was amazing experience.
Yes, thank you. I think she's dropped out her connection. But yes, especially when you are living outside India, during the middle of the day, to hear even Ram Naam few times. That's
I remember when Ayodhya, that installation of the, the Vigraha. I was here looking on the TV at that Vigraha, and I could feel that emotion. I mean, like,
yes.
I was watching on the TV, and that Vigraha when placed over there. I mean, that is the connect. What else? And this connect is to the higher culture of the country.
Right. Yes, Smitaji, you're back. Did you want to add something? We lost you there for a minute. You'll have to unmute yourself, please. You're on mute.
I just wanted to thank. I just wanted to thank from bottom of my heart to both the speakers for sharing their wealth of knowledge and bhakti with us, and really appreciate this enchanting time. And thank you. Thank you for organizing and doing your technical seva as well.
Thank you. I think the other thing that I really have to acknowledge here and thank both Rajeshwari Di and Lakshmijyothi for this. When a certain idea comes to me and I shared with both of them separately, they didn't say, okay, ये तो हमने कभी ऐसा सोचा नहीं है कुछ. They took it and they did it as their sadhana. I mean, they worked on it. They thought about how to summarize what they have to share. So to me, as someone who is inviting people to be part of a satsang, it's very fulfilling that, it's like you gather around these people who are just as dedicated to that particular topic as I had this vision in my mind. So I'm just so grateful to have friends and fellow travelers on this path with me. So thank you so much, Lakshmijyothi and Rajeshwari ji, to really do justice with the topic. So that's very, very important. So thank you so much. And I know Chitra ji is there. Shanta ji was also there. So we'll have our own, some other Vishwajita will be part of the program. Tomorrow, we have slightly a different tone to the program. We'll be having a conversation with two educators who also have background in wellness. So the idea of bringing Ramayana in classroom. with Jayashree and Shubha, who will be joining us tomorrow, and hopefully maybe some more educators from their school. And their school is being run on the philosophy of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother, integral education. So how have they been bringing Ramayana in classroom? So we'll have a little conversation around that topic, and then we'll have some time for question and answers. So I want to thank each and everyone who joined. Some of the people have already left, but we will meet again tomorrow at 5:30, same Zoom link, same meeting ID and everything. Thank you so much. So I'll just stop the recording, and I'll let this window continue for maybe a minute or so as we sit in silence and offer this work to the Mother. Whenever you are ready to leave, please feel free to just drop off the meeting. All right. Thank you so much. Namaste. See you tomorrow.